Hi everybody. I'd like to carry on with this tutorial from last week of looking at City School. Last week was looking at character. I want us to keep looking at character, and I'll play around with one I'm concepting for my idea, and then go show you more steps that I'd like us to move on from. So, working on character. Again, I haven't seen many yet that should be submitted, but again, keep thinking of ideas, play with different proportions, different type characters and such, and really work on this to help develop your idea. So on mine, again, any age, 19 and older. So I was thinking that I would do an older gentleman here. So again, I'm starting with some really basic shapes, and then trying to get some 3D forms into it. So again, I have an older character, so I want to look at character traits to give the impression that he's an older character. So I've given a very round body, kind of a very hunched back, and pants hiked right up under his chin. And then working where are those 3/4 view, I want it to be 3/4 view. And again, I'm roughing, so I'm kind of holding my pencil like I'm doing gesture drawings and such, just so that I'm working with shapes and not getting into detail at this point. And again, I want to see structured drawing. Show me, your process and where you're going with things. Here, I'm gonna give him slippers too. So, trying to think of story behind this. I'm just trying to find a good character, but I wanted to develop what's the idea. And again, I want to have an entertaining idea, but I also need to get message across. City School and what's going on there. So here again, I'm just roughing ideas in, and again, I will work on things more accurately once I get my idea down. That's not too bad. Let me get a lead pencil and kind of work that in. Now, so again, I want to rough in the whole idea, and please, when you keep them rough, keep them working drawings. That's what I want to see submitted. Give me a bunch of stuff and try different proportions and things. So here I've got very thick glasses. Yeah, could even put lines on there, show thick glasses. Give him a very distinct nose. Give him some real jowls here. Again, anything that I could add to really sell the idea that he's an older guy. And again, we want to keep it simple because we have to build these characters, because this is going to be our final film. So again, what we're doing now might not be your final. I'm going to give him age spots too. But you got to think that this is something you're going to have to animate, that you're going to have to build, construct, and work this character out. So don't get too complicated. Keep it basic so that we can do the construction. And again, we're going to have to do lip sync. There should be dialogue for this character as well as the Hawk character. So we're going to be going over lip sync next semester. And we're going to be going over building all these characters. And they're going to be two-dimensional, but we are using 3ds Max to create flats of which we're going to rig ideas of joints by having pivots. So we're going to be limited in our movement and such. So even though I'm hoping we'll have some visual interest action, it's keeping it within the technique and the restrictions of that technique and style. And again, we'll learn more about that as we take a look at more films and such. But I just want to go over and make sure that you're getting some ideas and you're getting them in, so I can take a look, make sure you got in the right direction. And then next year, when we come in January which isn't going to be too long, that we can take those ideas and refine them, get into script and storyboard, and get into production. So it really needs you to be doing the creative process now and thinking and getting ideas. So yeah, did a few things here. It's that tagline. I think it's a log line. Think of your idea and can you describe it in one sentence? So I've got old guy dreams to be a paparazzi. And before I came up with that log line, I was thinking of different poses and what could he be doing. And I think originally I had him in a cafeteria in a tray here, and trying to think of, how would that work out? How does this work into city school and such? So anyways, just getting familiar with character and poses. Again, I know we haven't dealt with the human form in cartoon form. I know you've been looking at human form in studio drawing, but now we need to relate that in cartoon, which we reviewed last week when thinking about character for the film. So, thinking of reality and then coming up with a caricature, a simplified caricature, and play with proportions to make them interesting. But going on with my paparazzi idea, I was thinking, well, okay, so again, this idea was developed through the idea of the old direction for city school, and that was getting people who wouldn't ordinarily think of changing career or developing a career or being career oriented, and heading towards that through the help of city school. So here I thought, again, if I've got an older character, he's probably experienced, he's probably been working somewhere or various places for a long time. So I thought, in my case, and again, this is just for a sample process to go through, is that I would have him very bored. He's at a job of which he's half falling asleep, so working on a pose, his hand on his cheek here, holding his head up, eyes virtually closed, and he's stamping paperwork. So it's a very mundane job that he has, and everything to get that point across that, yeah, again, and I guess the idea of city school, and even what we've been talking about within the program here, is a job compared to a career. And this is depicting a very boring job. And here he is just punching paper here, paper pusher. Kind of got him at a counter here. Idea as he's punching papers and things. Yeah, so just kind of working up ideas and getting that sorted out. So then thinking of what's the direction, what course would he be taking, what program would he end up doing, and how do I get some action into it. So the idea here, I thought, thinking of some scenes and things, would be, well, maybe he works at a license bureau and people come to get their license renewed, and he's got to take somebody's picture. They need the picture for their license. So then I figured maybe I can get some action by having him go behind the counter and coming up with his old-fashioned camera, which is quite different from what actually happens. If any of you have gone for your license, you stand in front of a screen and press a button and bang, there you are. But I thought this guy would be old school. He'd have an old camera with lights. He'd have an old big bellows camera. He's hanging on to, and then he jumps virtually right over the counter. He's so excited to be able to do something other than stamping paperwork. So, and again, this helps get some action into the shot. Again, we just don't want dialogue. Again, we're going to be working on scripts, but we want to think visually as well. So I thought with the idea here is if he jumped, he's so enthusiastic about photography, he jumps right over the counter or up on top of the counter, whatever the case may be. And suddenly his whole demeanor changes and he's all excited and happy that he's getting to do something that he loves. The only part of the job that he loves. And yeah, getting some action into it there. Anyway, there you go. So cartoon, I got his eyebrows right up off his head. So, look and think about cartoons and things. So I want you to keep refining character. Start thinking of accessories. Think of the subject matter of which you're going to base your story on, what you're interested in. So then, after working on characters and developing it even further from what you've been doing before, and remember, keeping it simple, and review those films that were posted up before, and then I want you to kind of do a thumbnail. Again, that log line, if you can do a thumbnail with that log line, and again, I got old guy dreams of being a paparazzi, and then start working out some scenes. Think of your cinematics, and you can be working out on some dialogue as well. So again, I did some blue lines here, just so this video won't be too long. Give you a chance just to get down to work and start developing yours. So here I got to add title DMV, which is more an American thing, which is Department of Motor Vehicles. That's not what we have here in Canada, so I would have to look that up and Canadianize that. So I can have some descriptions here, and if using quotes, some dialogue. So here's that, real rough thumbnail of him behind that counter stamping papers. So if you've got some poses that or some scene ideas that you drew up bigger in designing your character, now, do some little thumbnails of them here. So I've got a shot of, him at the counter doing his thing. And again, you can use your red here to indicate some action. So I'm going to put this little arrow that up and down. Here, let me zoom in a bit closer. Not that you'd want to see these thumbnails too close. They're very, very rough. Oh boy, this always takes off on me. I don't know why there's not a stop on this so I can stop it. There we go. That's not too bad. Still too close. I should have left it where it was. Anyways, let me focus it up. There we go. And in that scene here, I've got an angle of the hawk flying in front of him, and I've got that written out, and then his reaction. Somebody just popping into his office, and we've got the hawk there. So yeah, when you do these thumbnails and hand them in, try and make them so that they're somewhat legible to me. I know quite often myself, I use thumbnails as a shorthand for myself, not intending anybody else to see them. But again, if you can kind of put a little bit of care, again, keep them simple. You don't have to go into great detail. Just enough that I can see what your idea is. And a little bit of dialogue here. And then working out camera angles. So, we've got 3/4 front of this character, 3/4 back of the hawk. Then reverse that angle, keeping the office worker on the left and the hawk on the right. So remember your orientation. So again, and this is where practicing the hawk is important. So you can break him down to basic shapes that, in this case, you can take those basic shapes so he's recognizable without a whole lot of detail. And the same with your own character. Break them down to simple so that you can do some thumbnails to get the idea of what it is you're trying to get across and what posing might happen. And remember, thinking of the final storyboard, we want posing. something has to be happening. You got to give the characters something to do all the way through. That's why, I've given him a job. I've given him something that he does, and that he's going through some animation, some poses of what he's doing, and then introducing the characters. There's only two, and again, I'm starting out trying to introduce the original character and let the audience know who that character is and what he does. And then setting up the story of what happens next. And on this one, so dialogue, trying to put some in. Not really enough room to identify who's talking, but you could figure it out. So the Hawk character goes, "I'm in need of a license renewal." And this guy, barely looking, goes, "Sure." And then he looks and he goes, "Oh, you need a nude photo." So he gets all excited. And now he ducks down in behind the counter and goes, "Oh, I love this part." And that's when he jumps in. So that pose I had before is in play now. I've got him jumping up with the old camera gear. And there's the counter, so it'd be kind of jumping right up on that counter. So try and work out what that pose would work, particularly using pivots. Again, kind of limited. So we, going to have to cheat sometimes even our cinematics to be able to accomplish what we're trying to do here. We can cut around things, but you'll have to, you're really going to be analyzing and working that out next semester when you really get in. Once you've really got a storyboard, a script, and then working that up in storyboard class. But this is just the first attempt at ideas and character and such. And again, these might not be final. This is all just trying to get your ideas going. So submit something to show that you got a direction, that you're thinking of a subject matter, you got an idea of a character, and the interaction between the characters and how you can get the city school point across. So here, so my dialogue here. I love this part. "I always wanted to be a paparazzi." And here's the Hawk kind of question mark going, "What's going on? I just came to get my license renewed." So getting some reaction, facial expression, not that the Hawk has a whole lot, but by reaction, everything, body as well. And then we get in closer to this character, him now saying what he likes about being a paparazzi, the action, the glamour. And then I kind of worked it out, trying to visualize what's happening. It goes, the lights, and that's when this old-fashioned light thing he's got here, these flash bulbs. Might want to look that up. Back when I was a kid, we had a camera that had flash bulbs, one-use flash bulbs. Different times, technology, phenomenal. But anyway, got these flashing lights going off, and then the Hawk character's kind of blinded by these lights. Got little swirls on his head here, and him kind of startled, and that pose trying to go, "Oh yeah, he's taken by surprise." I know the lights going off kind of blinded him a bit, and he's staggering around a bit. But while he's recovering from that, he assesses the situation, and he points out to the guy that goes, you really have a passion for photography." And that's when he goes into his sales pitch of City School. So again, a slightly different direction from what is now required from the client. He wants to see the benefits of City School and somebody already working, and an interaction with the Hawk kind of promoting the success of using City School. Here, the old idea was, let's take a look at who's a candidate to take a look at City School and how they can start thinking about career. So anyways, and then this guy going, "Oh yeah, that he really loves it. And then we go into the sales pitch, which, yeah, we're not doing so much as a hard sell sales pitch this time. And that's the Hawk here going, try City School to help you get started in a new career. And then flies out of the scene. So it's all one location. It's kind of moving left to right, or the camera moving, just cutting from left to right. Getting the City School logo in there as he's explaining City School and its benefits. And then he flies out of the scene. But again, thinking, how am I going to do that technically? And I know that's difficult at this point because at most you've done the Peep character. Super simple. So now we're going to go more sophisticated, but still keeping in mind the limitations of what we've got to work with. Then him following him off screen there with his eyes. And then once he's gone, and he just has a little punchline comment going, who was that masked man? Because he didn't recognize the Hawk or who he was or whatever. Okay, so there we go. So for a 30-second film, which this is going to be, thumbnails shouldn't be any more than a page here. Could take the bottom row if you want to work out more posing and things, but just trying to start work out some scenes. But you can see how simple. You don't have to get too detailed. Try and work out some dialogue, which is kind of precursor to a proper script, and working on background of the character. You know, what's his personality like? What's his background story? And try to get that across in a very short time. And also, that kind of backstory and everything on the character helps you design the character. The idea, if I was going to write the background on this character, was here's a lifetime motor vehicle department employee and is bored to tears in his job and passing out. But there's that one little aspect that he loves, and how can he make that into a career, and how City School could help. So I don't know if photography is even part of the subject matter now, because they change that up all the time as well. So it's looking at that list and seeing how you can come up, and hopefully this is entertaining, getting the idea across to make that point across, but and make it fun. And just you can see just working between the two characters. But also trying to get some action. Just him jumping up and jumping on the counter was just to get some, exaggeration, some fun, making use of animation and the visual aspect of it. All right. So, yeah, for this assignment's submission, work on the character some more, refine. You can do a couple of poses that are related to story or ideas, and then do a thumbnail of the possible storyline on what kind of camera shots and cuts and things you're going to be using. And again, no pans, zooms, anything like this. Think of good solid cuts, good story, solid visual storytelling. All right. Well, good luck with that, and we'll discuss during the Zoom meeting.